Some influencers have nothing good to say. The only reason they are famous is for being famous. There's a difference between influence and influencer.
Lower the lights down, hand over my crown, hand over my heart. I do this for my town, I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop.
All right, hi everyone. Welcome to the second series of the Life Insider Show, where this time we will be speaking about public speaking and influence. So in this second series of the Life Insider Show, we want to bring you all the international and global speakers or trainers or coaches or consultants who have been using speaking as a tool to persuade, influence, and impact lives and also their work. So our guest today, it's Melvin. So Melvin is based in Singapore, and he's right now running a 6 to 7 figure business on teaching and training and coaching people how to scale their businesses. Now, one of the things I love the most about Melvin is that he's really a marketing maverick. He really dives deep into human psychology, really understand people so that we can market and help businesses to grow. And I know this really well because I have a couple of friends who are right now being coached by him personally. And Melvin, being in this industry and with his background, he'll be able to add a lot of value to what we're going to talk about today. So Melvin, welcome to the show. It's our honor to have you. Thank you so much for joining us.
What is up? What is up, KarFei? Good to see you. Good to see you.
Nice to see you.
Excited to add value to people here.
Perfect. Sounds good. So, I mean, you have been in the industry for long. I actually have seen you in action live, face-to-face a couple of years ago. And then I attended your class again this year as well. And I've seen, you being a speaker, being a trainer. Now, I don't want to talk too much. I want to let you talk about it, right? So Melvin, why don't you share a little with us and our listener today? What are you up to right now? Like, what are you focusing on? What are you doing right now in your life, in your business, and so on and so forth?
That's a fantastic question, KarFei. I think the most important, the funniest thing is I want to start off a little bit of tangent here. Let's talk about this idea of influence versus influencer. Because we have a speaker versus speaking, right? So I noticed, and maybe you can chime in as well. I think that makes for a good podcast. I'm a fantastic guest there. I have a lot of interesting thoughts. Have you ever realized a long time ago, KarFei, people who spoke had influence. They were known as people with influence, right? Most of the time, people with influence had something good to say. They accomplished some stuff, and they want to share it with people. So that was a long time ago. Have you realized that ever since 2010, 2009, there's been rise of an influencer. Now, have you realized that some influencers have nothing good to say? They have not much going on. The only reason they are famous is for being famous. Maybe they shake their butts. Maybe they look pretty. Maybe take a lot of pictures. There's a difference between influence and influencer. In fact, most of the time, these days, if a person begins and says that, hi, I'm an influencer, you probably know they have nothing very good to say. They're probably an idiot. I'm sorry to say, they're probably an idiot. Because a person who has real influence doesn't say that they're an influencer. It's kind of saying like, hi, my name is Melvin, I'm a very handsome man. It's like most handsome people do not say that. Okay, so
exactly.
Yep. Just as a thought. So why am I bringing this up? Because there's a difference between speaking and being a speaker and sharing. See, what I advocate is first and foremost, right? A long time ago, read a book by Dale Carnegie, Guide to Public Speaking. You know what one of the things inside public speaking is so simple. It's like have something good to say. No, really, you gotta have something good to say. You gotta have a relevant thought. You gotta have something that you want to share, a reason why you're doing this, apart from the fact that you like to be a speaker. I think that is critical. There needs to be a mission, and that is actually the point that I'm making. That in order to be a speaker first, you need to have a mission. And how I came into this is because I realized a long time ago, I could talk a lot. Most of the time I talk a lot in school, you get in trouble. Wasn't very relevant, didn't have a lot of good stuff to say, cracked a lot of jokes. But after a while, I had a reason, a mission that I wanted to share. It started with the kids first because I didn't like school. I didn't like school because there are 3 kinds of learners: visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. School fits auditory exceptionally well. Auditory people can sit there the whole day and just listen. Visual people, they need the teacher to draw pictures, PowerPoint slides, they're fine, right? Kinesthetic are the worst. Kinesthetic don't work well at school because kinesthetic wants to move around every 30 minutes. And you know what? School doesn't really encourage that. You usually get into trouble if you stand up in the middle of class and walk around. So I was a kinesthetic learner, and I was labeled a problem kid. I was labeled problematic, etc. I happened to get good grades, so they couldn't expel me. But I didn't like school at all. And so the first thing I interacted with accelerated learning, especially for kids. After a while, I realized, my God, you could teach the kids different mindsets, different skill sets for them to embrace learning. And that was my first mission, to really share that with the kids. Afterwards, my next mission was I struggled in business because I tried to start my own business. My second thing was I didn't do well. I struggled for 7 to 8 years. I ate one meal a day, and it was a tough time. So I met my mentor, Marshall Thurber. He taught me, and I said, hey, you know what? I grew my business, and I had a mission, second mission. Right now, I want to share things about business with people so that they can succeed. Then when Marshall had a health condition, wasn't able to continue, my third mission came. A lot of people came to me and said, Mel, you have been able to market exceptionally well. And I said, my third mission now is to show these elite folks, right? Speakers, trainers, coaches, consultants, etc., marketers, salespeople, how they can go out there, market themselves, get good clients, and basically succeed. So before we even dive into the idea of being a speaker, and let's talk about speaking. And the first key of speaking is you got to have something good to say. You got to have a mission, a reason, some experience, some quality information that serves people, as opposed to the idea of being a speaker so that you can be famous, so that, you know, girls will think you're cool, so that you can be on Instagram, which I think very often, if people were to dive deeper into it, they would realize how much do we do it from a place of having something to share, a place of mission, versus how much do we do it from a place of ego. I think it's critical.
Wow. Now, when you talk about that, that means it's really two things, right? Like when you have something good to share, in a way, it's contribution, right? Like you speak because you want to contribute to a bigger mission, a bigger purpose. And the other side of it, it's how much is it actually to serve your own ego. Now, how do you balance this? Now, let me give you a quick example, right? Like I started coaching when I was really young. I was 21. I faced a lot of rejections. And then slowly I become a speaker, speak on stage and so on. And at one point, I was asking myself, why do I put myself through so much rejections to be able to speak to people, to be able to speak on stage and so on? And over the years, I started to realize, you know what? Besides, you know, creating impact, besides using coaching or NLP or whatever to help people change their life, I also enjoy that attention of being on stage. Now, how do you then balance this off? Like for you, I agree, mission is important, but how do you balance whether if you're actually enjoying it being on stage?
I think first of all, you need to enjoy it, you need to relish it, but I think it's very critical to look at it from how are you enjoying it, right? I enjoy the transformation. I enjoy it. I really like interacting with people, and I'm not saying even if you do it from an ego standpoint, it's a bad thing. I'm just saying we need to dive in and ask ourselves, right? In order to have a long, sustainable career here, we need to ask ourselves, why are we doing this? You know, the ego part is, no, it's fine. Everyone has an ego. The money part is fine, right? You need to make money as well. But fundamentally, the one thing that will ensure we are sustainably successful is to ask ourselves, why are we doing this? Why are we in this industry? If we enter the industry and the sole goal is ego, I can predict that you will implode. You see, I used to work as a chief copywriter at Success Resources, and I've been involved there for like, you know, a very long time, right? I've seen speakers come and go. The ones that come from a place of mission, the ones that come from a place of genuine serving, it's not that they don't enjoy being on stage, not that they don't enjoy the perks that come with speaking, but the ones that genuinely have a great message to share, that genuinely, all things aside, would do it still, they are the ones that succeed. Then they are the ones you can tell very quickly that they're doing it to spin past cash. Those come and go very, very quickly. And I think the universe sees to it that, you know, people who don't have the right mindset are recycled pretty quickly out of the game, because, you know, probably they should not be listened to. It is what it is. You know, I've done this for ever since 2008. More and more, I ask myself every single day. I have a grounding routine. I ask myself, why am I doing this? Where do I come from? What message do I want to share with people? And that, I think, keeps a speaker grounded. You know, when a speaker really is a leader. I think that's critical to understand. A speaker is not a speaker. A speaker is a leader. You know, there's some people that say that a speaker, you know, this whole industry is like the entertainment industry. I kind of agree. On the marketing aspect, it is. But the moment you sit up there, right, the moment you start speaking, you are a leader. And if you're a leader that's self-serving only, then you're a terrible leader. Nobody should follow you. But if you're a leader that goes up there, yes, you can join the perks. Yes, it's amazing to win and do a bunch of things. But if you're a leader who goes up there and genuinely cares for the people and wants to bring them to a place that's good for you and for them, then I think you're going to be a long, sustainable leader. You know, so
wow.
I think that's critical.
I like the word that you choose, which is sustainably successful. Like one of the things that I think you are preaching about right here, it's that if you want to speak, if you want to get into this industry, you want to make sure that you are successful, but not in a fast track, but in a sustainable manner. And that can only be done when you have a mission and when you try to serve the others.
Yeah.
And the second point that you were talking about just now on when you speak, you are a leader.
Yeah.
And this kind of goes very well hand in hand with my personal philosophy of leadership, is that every single one of us is a leader. And when you start to speak, be it in a corporate setting, whether you are a freelancer, whether
Yeah.
you are a business owner, when you start to speak, you have that, responsibility to do something for your team. You have the responsibility to serve your team or to serve your client. And I like that's how you are approaching this game. Now share with us, Melvin, like, you've been in this industry since 2008, right? Like from, you being a copywriter, starting your own business and getting into where you are right now. What are some of the challenges that you face that you had to go through in order for you to get to where you are right now?
This is a great question. I'll share some of these. But one thing I want to mention is why I'm such an advocate for sustainability. It's very simple. The time perspective by which an individual considers is a direct reflection of the maturity they have. It's very, very important.
Wow.
The time perspective. So do you realize, even when you came for X Factor, the one thing I kept saying, right, was, are you willing to stay in this for at least the next 7, 10, 20 years? Why do I keep talking about this? You don't hear normal people talking about this. All they talk about is how you're going to make money at the end of this year, how you're going to make money in the next 2 to 3 years. That reflects maturity. Unless you're going to be dead in 3 years, it's not a very good way of thinking. You see, KarFei, if you're going to get really, see, that's steroid thinking. We have an epidemic right now of young folks who want to look buff. They pump steroids. And here's the thing, at the end of the year, you look really buff. That you'll be dead by 40. So if you want to, do you see? But for the next 3 years, you'll be really buff. Everyone's going to be like, wow, KarFei's really muscular. Do you see that? The time perspective is directly related to the level of maturity you have. If you start thinking, what am I going to look like when I'm 40? Oh, I'm going to be dead. That's a very bad idea. But if you go, give me the steroid, then you're done. You're a dummy because you have no maturity. That is critical. And so, having been in the game for a long time, I don't care about making $1 million now and losing it next year because I've seen it.
Yep.
I've seen when people cycle through people very quickly, and the money comes and the money goes. If the money that goes is more than the money that comes, then they leave bust. And when you leave bust, KarFei, and you have a bad rep, you're not coming back. You got to take a break from the industry. Right? I mean, you have a scandal out there. We're not seeing you to 2027. Come back with a sad story, and stuff like that. And all of a sudden, no one's going to come to your shit because no one wants to be associated with that kind of thing. And you are done. You are done. And that's kind of important. I don't give a fuck about making $1 million this year and then all of a sudden not being able to do business for the next 10 years. And it's kind of dumb. Right? So I think it's critical. Sustainable is the way to go. In fact, when you're sustainable, you're exponential. I think that's critical, right?
Wow.
Year 1, year 2 is better than year 1. Year 3 is better than year 1 and 2, and then you're exponential. And why wouldn't you want that? That's how compounding interest works, right? So I think that is critical. Long-term thinking is a direct reflection of maturity. We have way too many marketers and speakers all with short-term thinking. You know how I know this? As a copywriter, right? And as a person involved with Success Resources and all these big seminars from 2008, right? The number of people still around are less than 5%.
Wow.
But here's the thing: 12 years is not a long time, buddy. 12 years for business is not a long time. I think those people are done in 2 to 3 years. It's sad.
Well, let's talk about this for a bit, right? Before we share about your challenges and so on. Is that in 2020 when the whole pandemic happened, we see, at least I'm not too sure if you would agree, but we see a rise of ads on Facebook, on Instagram, and all these people calling themselves gurus, coaches. Like, you'll be like, I've never seen this guy like in the past, I don't know, 1, 2, or 3 years. Suddenly all these ads are bombarding and all these gurus, consultants, trainers, coaches teaching you how to make money and be rich, start a coaching business in 12 months, make 6-figure, all these kind of things. How do you, like, when you look at this is happening right now, how do you kind of, advise people to when they're looking for a coach? Because to a certain extent, these people are in a way also giving coaches some bad rap, right? Like, so
I think at the end of the day,
enough.
It's very simple, right? KarFei, it's challenging question, but at the same time, dead simple question. How do you choose a swimming instructor? Well, number one, KarFei, the most important thing is self-understanding, self-awareness. If I wanted to be an Olympic athlete, I'm only going to choose coaches that have trained Olympic athletes. It's pretty open and shut. You see, at the end of the day, it's dead easy. So the first reason why a lot of people fall into signing up for things that they later don't like is because they're not self-aware. You see, the moment you're self-aware and you know what your vision in life is, you're going to find somebody who has had a track record of making that vision come true, coach you. It's pretty easy. The reason I attract elite speakers, marketers, and salespeople is because I've actually done these things before. In fact, I still do it. I've coached these people before. So I just go out there and speak the truth. You know, I was writing copy for Tony and Kiyosaki at Success Resources. I was promoting Marshall and Mark Joyner and this kind of people. So I've done it before. I just come out and say, okay, cool, this is what I want. If you belong in this camp, I'm probably the guy for you. I'm a little bit crazy, but you know, if you're successful and you like crazy, then I'm the guy for you. You know, so I think the track record is really important. I understand right now that there are a lot of people coming out starting a coaching business, because the reason is because that is what is promised in many of these courses that you know are sold by people. They say that you can come out and you can start a course and you can be a coach and all of a sudden make a lot of money. Unfortunately, they usually missed out the part where the length of time it takes for the person to be successful. And number two, they usually missed out. KarFei, you cannot have high ticket closing without high value being. These two things are very, very interlinked. See, the outer never really escapes far from the inner. Is very critical. So the amount of money made is directly related to what happens on the inside. If not much is happening on the inside and the person learns a lot of superficial skills, you're about to see an explosion very, very soon. There are a lot of people out there right now who are very good marketers, but not very good people. And sooner or later, it explodes. When it explodes, then they lose a bunch of money, lose a bunch of clients, and you will see the outer will descend to match the level of the inner. So watch your KarFei, you go out there, you scam a bunch of people, you make 10 mil. Now the government takes 9 mil from you. Then guess what? You reach 1 mil. So there's what's on the inside, you see. So the outer never escapes the inner. Would it be more sustainable just to go out there and just be honest and make 1 or 2 actually and save yourself all the trouble? The outer never escapes the inner. So every single time I think for myself, like when I coach people, I get coaches too. The reason I get coaches is because I understand this concept. If I want to go and run, I currently run you know, a mid 7-figure business. If I want to go on and become an 8-figure business, man, I better work on myself. You know, because the outer doesn't escape far from the inner. I got to be an 8-figure guy. If one day I want to make 9 figures and 10, I better be a 9 and 10-figure guy. that psychology is different. It's different from playing in soccer in the Malaysian league and the Premier League. It's huge difference. It's difference playing at Barcelona and the Champions League versus the Malaysian league. If I want to play in the Champions League, I better get some shit in order. My psychology, my fitness, I better get that. If I'm not willing to work that, sure, I can go get to the club, but I'll play one game and everyone goes, man, this guy doesn't belong here. And I'll get tossed right back to the Malaysian league. You see, the outer doesn't escape the inner. You know, I think that's critical for people to understand. You want to make a lot of money, hey man, as a coach, as a leader right now, oh man, you better be working on yourself. It's more than buying some funnel, some system, following. No, you better, like, you want to keep and make those figures. You know why, KarFei? Let me tell you why. Speaking and coaching are two different. Speaking, you can go up there, do a song and dance, 1.5 hours, they fuck off, they leave, never see you again. If you're a coach, now these people sign up with you. Now they get to see you every single day. Now you're responsible for the level of success. They get a chance to see you up closer. Now, if you are incongruent and you are not as good as you say you are, my God, they tell real quick. They tell real quick what kind of person you are. And guess what they're going to do? They're going to ask for their money back. And they're going to tell everybody, don't go to this guy. It's shit. So, so before you start collecting high ticket, right, you better have, number one, be able to deliver. In this industry, is very low on the emphasis on delivery. My X-Factor class, I kept talking about delivery. I was like, man, you got to be able to deliver. But you want to collect $50,000, $25,000. Man, you can't deliver, guess what's going to happen? Those people are going to ask for their money back. So you better be able to deliver. I highly emphasize delivery. Now,
so high value, right? Delivering high value in that case.
Yeah, high value. But then the second one is high value being. The kind of person you are needs to be high value also. So what does it mean? I noticed from 2000, let's say back then, right? I was running an internet business back in 2009. Wasn't very successful. I compared from my behavior in 2009, 2010, all the way to 2020 now, right? Huge difference. Last time, I couldn't get things done. I was not very accountable. I woke up at any point of time. Didn't have any concept of discipline. You know, never, etc. Didn't really read and study, etc. You know, wrote things on the fly. 10 years later, I just completed my morning routines. And I do my breathing. I put myself in a peak state. I train myself. I prepare even for this interview. I can jump on and just be, you know, just, oh, cool. No, I prepared mentally. How am I going to come here? Give it my best shot. You know, so I'm a different kind of person. Do you see it? Last time I was an amateur. Now I'm a professional. You see the difference? An amateur, just, all right, we're going to play soccer right now. All right, cool. He arrives match at 3 o'clock. He arrives at 2:50. Doesn't stretch. Maybe a little bit overweight. Who knows? A little bit drunk from last night's drinking. He just goes up there, runs around, and cram halfway. That's an amateur. You know what a professional does? A professional 7 days a week. He's stretching, he's eating right, he's preparing. Match starts at 3, he's up at 8 already, getting a warm-up in, stretches, go through with the coach, the strategy. He goes up there, he's ready. Guess who wins? The professional wins. Duh! Right? Why? Because he's a pro. So professionals always win. Amateurs always lose. So I think it's critical. High value. That's high value being right there. He's deserving of the $250,000 a week, which is what they pay the pro footballers. And that's why the amateur guy get, I don't know, $200 a week. That's
Yep,
huge.
very true. Very, very true. And that high value being, I think it's probably also a accumulation of your own experience, right? You mentioned it, right? Back then you were different. Now you are like totally professional. So I'm guessing there's also things that you have gone through over in your life in this industry, right? Your own personal challenges. And let's talk a little specifically about, your challenges in this training and speaking industry, right? When you move from being a copywriter, which is most of the time you work behind the computer, to right now, like, my mission now is to serve businesses, to help businesses to be more sustainable and successful. But how do I put myself out there? Like, what was the challenges that you faced when you start putting yourself out there, knowing that you have a mission in place?
Okay, awesome. So the first key, let's talk about then our free flow and give you a bunch of things I see most beginner speakers and marketers do wrong. Okay, so let's start, and I'll use that, tag it to my own journey. Number one, most people think, now I mentioned delivery, but you find very interesting. There is a interesting dichotomy in this industry. You got, on one hand, you got people right here, they can market a lot. They usually suck at delivery, right? They usually suck. I'm just telling you, I'm not saying all, but so if a guy usually comes out as a lot of flash, sometimes you need to check his delivery. It's questionable sometimes, right? Then there are people that deliver very well, but they hate marketing. Then it's just confusing, right? So I happen to be able to do both very well, because not just because I'm some kind of genius, but because I worked at a program before. I was both the marketing guy and I had to go up there and teach, right? So I began to have to develop both, and there was no other person, so I had to do both. It's kind of having to use your right hand and your left hand. It's not very clever. It's just that I had to. Okay, so I had to do both. So number one, as you listen to this podcast, first thing you ask yourself is, which one do you belong to? You usually belong to one or the other one. Usually you're better at marketing, but your delivery could be improved, or your delivery rocks, and because you spend all your time studying, but you don't like marketing. You have stuff like, I don't like to put myself out there. I don't want to be hard sell. If you say that kind of shit, then you probably suck at that. Okay, so you need to figure that out and then go and improve the area, because in this entire business of speaking, coaching, etc., you need to be good at both. Okay, if you're great at delivery, but you don't market yourself, then nobody except your mother and your son will know who you are, and they're not going to pay you. Number two, if you market well, but you don't deliver well, then you are in deep shit. Okay, you appear on forums, etc., and that's equally bad. Okay, I cannot decide which is worse. Okay, so be able to do both. That's the first key. Usually you suck at one or the other, Okay, then number two, having a mission. A lot of coaches don't have a mission. They just want to say they come out, etc. The deep self-understanding of why you're doing this, beyond just a desire to share, desire to speak, right? From a spiritual standpoint, is this aligned with your purpose? I think that's critical. Because why? Because at the start, it's going to be a bitch. It sucks, right? You're not going to be Tony Robbins. Makes sense? You're going to appear, you're not going to do it right, your speaking's off, your presentation sucks, nobody understands what you're saying, people think you're rehashing content they've heard before, right? How many times have you given the talk, people come up to you and say, oh, that's great, it's good, refresh. Or like, I've heard that before. Then you're like, oh man, so at the start, it's going to suck. But unless you have a deep burning mission that is aligned with your spiritual purpose, then I strongly suggest there are better occupations to go and do than to do this business of going out there to influence and speak to people. You could just be a salesperson. Might be easier, if you just want to make some money. Speaking is at the start it's a pain in the butt. So really align with that. Then the third thing I want to mention is, you have a challenge. If you come out there and I try to solve it through my X Factor class, it's challenging when you come out there and say stuff like, I just want to help businesses grow. That is the most vague shit anyone can ever hear, because it's like, what kind of business? What does growth mean? How much is growth? In what area are they growing? You see, at the moment you are vague, you are going to fail. Because the moment you're vague, you appeal to everybody and nobody knows whether they qualify. That's another thing that I teach, right? Nobody knows whether they qualify, and they're like questionable. They're like, why qualify? This doesn't speak to me. So doesn't speak to me. And then after they're confused, they move on, right? So unfortunately, you see majority of speakers, you cannot tell what audience they serve, what problems they solve, what the heck they can do for you. And then let's not even talk about proof. Okay, or even why they're doing this. You just don't even know whether you are the right audience. Have you picked out a book, then you flip the front and back, and you go, is this book for me? Then you start flipping inside the book, and after a while you're like, I'm not sure. What you're not sure, what do? You put it back.
You put it back.
Yeah, you put it back because you're like, I'm not sure, man. No, I go to Popular all the time, in Malaysia. I pick up books. So you guys actually have more books in Malaysia, Malaysian authors than we have in Singapore. Singapore, not many authors, right? I pick up a book, I flip it. I'm not sure, man. I'm not sure. I'm a marketer, speaker. I'm not sure if this book is for me. It sounds rather generic. I put it back. But then there are books that we pick up and we're like, oh my God, this book is for me. It speaks right to me. Then immediately I flip it, confirm it, then I'm off to pay for it. Because I realize this is my book. That one is critical, right? So I think but then you see, KarFei, it's very hard to dive in to the person you want to influence, the specific audience, if you don't know your mission and your purpose. Why do I work with speakers, marketers, and salespeople? Very simple. My mission in life is to work with the top, most influential people so that we can enlighten people to their true potential, have them lead much better lives. I used to, long time ago, do it myself. I have interacted with more than 15,000 kids in Singapore, Malaysia, Hong Kong, Thailand, Bali, Vietnam, even Stanford in the US. I tried to do it myself over a 7 to 8 year period. 7 to 8 years, 15,000. You might think it's a lot. It's very little. Very little. Right? And I kind of figure out, if I did it like Tony, he did it for 30, 40 years. He only touched 2 million lives, personally. I realized it sucks. It's not going to work out, and I got to live like this every single day. It's not going to work out. So I felt that, why do I need to do it myself? I can use leverage and start working with influential people, guide them to become more successful. Like for you, if I help you, then you can go out and touch 15,000 lives, 20,000 lives, or 30,000 lives in your lifetime. Then, in a way, it advances my mission without me actually having to do that myself. Now, what if I get 400 KarFeis? There's 1.2 million there, or 12 million people. That's pretty good there. You see, and all I need to do is work with 40 KarFeis. That is leverage. And suppose that aligns with my bigger purpose. Therefore, I'm happy to do this. Therefore, I'm happy to locate and I can zero in very clearly, right, that these are the things, these are the people. A salesperson is an influencer, actually. Because the moment he's good, he can sell right products and help a lot of people. A marketer is more influential than they think they are. These young kids running around, they are very influential. They determine what appears in front of you. If they are positive, they are enlightened, they put right products in front of you with the right messaging, it can change your life. If they put rubbish in front of you, it can hurt your life. And speakers, influencers, coaches, and consultants, at the end of the day, these people are really influential. They say the right thing to you, they can change your life. These are the three groups of people I feel are aligned to my purpose. That's why I want to help them. I want to help them at a high level, because at high level people are going to help a lot of people. Do you see it? So I'm able to very clearly articulate the prospect I want to work with, because I'm very clear about my purpose, and therefore I'm able to say it. And I know exactly what kind of problems they have that I want to help solve. Some problems I don't want to help solve, like tech problems. I'm not the guy. So then everything becomes very clear. So I just say, this is what I'm looking for, is who I want. And then afterwards, all the people self-qualify. I think that's the third or the fourth, I can't quite remember. Most important thing, really, really critical to understand what kind of prospect you want to solve. And then the next thing, right, the final, actually there are a lot, is consistency. I think a lot of people, consistency, and then, see, I spend a lot of time talking about money, and talking about consistency, and talking about self-love and self-care. So I want to dissect these three elements, very, very crucial. Anyone listening, you'll never hear this anywhere else. I don't care how many podcasts you listen to, because these are all very original thoughts that I've had. The first one, money. Anyone that sets a monetary goal alone, and that's the only thing that drives them, will eventually fail. The reason is very simple. I think a monetary goal should inspire and propel you forward, and then you set the new one and the new one. But if your only purpose in life is to make money, you must understand, KarFei. Let's say, for example, you set a goal right now to make $3 million. And that's the only thing you care about. You care about nothing else except $3 million. So you realize that for every dollar you earn that brings you closer to your goal, your motivation and inspiration drops. You realize that? Because when you're at 2.99 million, how inspired are you to hit 3? You don't give a fuck anymore, because you know you're going to hit it. What happens when you hit 3? You're done. You realize? So it goes this way. Do you see?
Yeah, it's counterintuitive, right? Because the motivation is actually going the other way.
Yeah, it goes right. And then oftentimes you have people that only set financial goals, and after a while when they hit the goal, they're like, what the fuck do I do now? And they're lost.
Yep. What's next?
Yes, what's next? So I believe a financial goal propels you to move forward, but the meta goal has to be one that is aligned to mission and purpose. Like, why are you doing this beyond making money? So I think that number one, that is ultra critical. Too many, and by the way, a lot of speakers make a goal, right? They always talk about goal setting, and they have a goal for themselves to make X amount of money. But they only have that financial goal. And I tell you, sooner or later they burn out. Or they hit the goal and they don't know what's next, right? And they find it very empty. You find it empty because you have nothing else going for you apart from the money. Critical. If you want to join this business, you want to do it for long term. Understand that the longer you do this, the more people are going to reach your message and be influenced by it. But the only way you're going to sustain is, number one, if you're mission oriented, yes, you make the money. You need to make money or else you'll be done. You won't be able to sustain. But you cannot just be driven by the money. Very critical. That's the first and most important key mindset-wise. Number two, consistency is as you become more and more successful, are you able to detach and still continue to work on yourself? You see, when it's almost like sports. When you're hungry and a new speaker, you work real hard. You practice slides, you do your stuff. Now it's 200 times you've given this presentation. Everyone outside thinks you're the next best shit since sliced bread. Are you still working on yourself? Or are you just going, fuck it, I am the great whatever the heck, right? I don't have to do this. Are you still improving? They wouldn't know the difference. KarFei, they wouldn't know the difference. They're new. They're all fanboys and fangirls. They don't care what you go out there and do. You could just appear. But do you have the professionalism to keep studying, to keep your mind sharp, to keep improving and growing? Most people, answer is no. It's because after they started getting money, they start getting lazy. Because why? Because the purpose, and this is one of the most harming thoughts, is the purpose of getting wealthy is so that I can work less. This fucking thought that the purpose of wealth is to be lazy has killed so many careers. Because for every dollar that comes in, you actually hasten your downfall. I have enough money to not do any of these fucking things ever. But the amount of preparation I have for X Factor, right, for my own class, you guys will never know the difference. You come for a class, for the first time. You don't know if I prep or fucking I just rolled out bed drunk. You would never know, right? But I know the difference, right? And I want to keep the level of professionalism. I want to improve class by class by class. I want to make sure that everything is on point. I want to make sure that I'm here to make a difference. You see, it all links back to the mission. If I'm only driven by the money, I don't give a fuck about doing these things. You see it? So it's critical.
Yeah. And I think I just want to chime in here a little bit because what you are talking about here about consistency, it's really about self-mastery. And it really reminds me about the definition of, discipline, right? Discipline, it's what you do when no one is watching, right? Like you said, you could have done 1,000 same presentations or sale on stage before, but the 1,001 time when you get on stage, are you still delivering it with as much energy, as much value, as much
professional
mission to do it?
Yeah.
The reason why I talk about it is because I've seen so many people who actually fall into their trap. It's like, I've done this presentation last week. I'll be able to nail it. There's nothing to change. I'll be able to deliver. It's okay.
Yeah.
Right. And I think for all listeners who listen, this is something that's really important. And I think this is probably the mindset that has gotten Melvin to where he is right now, right? Moving from, really very different mindset, like since 2008 to where you are right now, 2021, where you're really focusing on becoming the best version of yourself.
Yep.
And I follow you on Instagram. You talk a lot about getting your own coaches. You're doing what it takes to become the best version of yourself.
And here's the thing, I'm doing it in people will never know. They would never know. The first time they encounter me, they would know. I could have been saying the same shit last year. They would never know. And here's the funny thing, you will realize that the more fame and reputation you get, people just want to meet you. They would never care, never know. They don't know whether you are working on yourself, you're not, they're just excited to see you. And I am able to detach from all of these because I've seen it before, and I just go, and my mission in life is not to be famous. That's not my mission. I know I will inevitably be exceptionally famous, but that's not my goal. My goal is I want to help these people. The fame, it comes and goes. KarFei, see, this kind of things, right? Like fame and wealth, and it is great. There's some perks to it, right? Sometimes it's inconvenient, the fame part, you just want a quiet life sometimes, right? But you must understand that these things are superficial. Okay, what is lasting is the legacy, the impact that we make. So I'm able to detach away from it because I don't consume my own bullshit and PR. This is fun, great, yeah, Melvin, so woohoo, right? But I come up here, when I'm in bed, I have my own struggles. When I don't prepare, I suffer the consequences. So am I the great Melvin? So sometimes I put it out there. That was kind of tongue in cheek, and that's my Instagram handle. Well, it's great because I've done a lot of work, So it's not like I'm like, wow, look at this guy. He's a walking god. And there's a lot of work that goes behind the scenes, and a lot of struggle. And I think the moment we are able to understand that, and this is not just speaking, this is success in every industry. You look at sports, it's the same thing, right? You have the young guy. He starts out, he got no money, he hungry. Now he wins 10, 20 fights. Now he got $20, $30 million. Suddenly he don't go and train anymore. Suddenly he lazy. Suddenly he's partying all day. Suddenly he's drinking booze nonstop. Then he gets knocked out. I wonder why. But then every once in a while you see a great, right? You see a great like Michael Jordan. like Cristiano Ronaldo, even
Oh,
Floyd,
big fan.
Floyd Mayweather. Now, a lot of people give Floyd Mayweather a lot of shit. You must understand, Floyd Mayweather is a lifestyle maybe you don't want to have. You know, I give a classic story, and this is not, I'm not advocating that you should all do this. Floyd Mayweather is a big fan of going to strip clubs. But here's the thing, he went to a strip club once in the middle of the night. And then he had a fight. And here's the thing, after he was done, he doesn't drink, by the way. He takes care of his body. It's really funny. Right? The guy goes to strip club, doesn't drink. Right? He throws money, that's fine. But here's the thing. Then he walked out of the strip club. His bodyguards went in the car and he ran back. He ran 7 miles at 3 a.m. back home to the gym
Wow.
to train. That's why he's fucking Floyd Mayweather, you understand? He goes to the strip club, doesn't drink. Then he changes out of his party clothes, wears his like boxing gear, and runs back in the dark. The bodyguards are driving at the side to make sure he's safe. Oh, yeah, man. That guy ran 7 miles back to the gym to train. And they slept and woke up and trained again. That's why he's Floyd Mayweather. That's why he's 50-0. Because who you know goes there and does that. It's nuts.
And I think this is really a big lesson, and it's also a really strong self-reflection for me as well, even as a coach, right? Like, you need to walk the talk. And I think for all listeners, it's really important for us to really remember that. I think Melvin talked about it just now, which is your inner world reflects your outer world.
Yep.
If you want things to change on the outer side of the world, your career, your relationship, your life, your job, your income, whatever, you need to change the internal side of you, the inner world of yourself. And I think, Melvin, you probably wanted to talk about the two last points you wanted to talk about, which is self-care and self-love, right?
I want to talk very quickly about this because I have also seen, on the other hand, right? So this entire business of speaking, remember, I'm only talking about if you want to do it at a low level. This probably should be mentioned at the start. This podcast is too intense for you. There's too much here. If you just wanted to coach 3 to 5 people around your house and you want to do it at maybe about $3,000 to $4,000 a month as a side thing, don't listen to this. I know it's kind of late to tell people that this is too much. I'm only talking about making millions. Okay, making millions and multi-millions and doing a huge impact that, you know, after you pass, the world will still remember you. That's all I care about. Right, so I do not know how to do small things. I think you attended the class. I was very clear about it. I'm the wrong guy. If you want to do, like, you know, I'm not saying a hobbyist is wrong. You know, some people take up boxing classes to just get fit. There are then people that want to be the world's greatest. It's hugely different. I'm the second category, not the first. Okay, so let's talk very quickly about self-care and recharge. Okay, so what I have also noticed, mistakes that all these people have made over a long period of time, you observe it. Number one, obsession with cash, self-destruction, self-sabotaging habits, etc. Then, on the other side, you have some people that don't take care of themselves. You know, my mentor, Marshall, right? I love him, right? I changed my life because of him. But let's just say his diet habits were exceptionally bad. Now, he wasn't a drinker, but his idea of a good dinner was 10 scoops of Ben and Jerry's ice cream. Needless to say, he had a heart attack. Yeah. KarFei, the road to wealth is not 10 scoops of ice cream. You will die. You'll fucking die. And it was really surprising that he only got a heart attack at 70-something. It was like, and he has been eating like this for a long time. You know, he either skips meals, eats 1 meal a day, something just slams ice cream and stuff. You see some speakers, right? This job is incredibly taxing. Every athlete somehow has a deep subconscious understanding that diet and rest is very important.
Yep.
Speakers don't understand this. But here's the thing, we give off a lot of emotional, physical also. Have you given a talk and then felt tired, right? But all you did was stand on stage, right? But no, we give off energy. There could be even spiritual energy because we have to work through people's limiting beliefs, and sometimes they're a pain in the ass to deal with, and you will stay there with them. It takes effort and energy. After that, you drain. Now, people don't understand this. Hopefully, you're married to a gal that understands this, because most people on the surface don't understand. They get it when the boxer is tired. Because they go, oh my God, the guy been doing weights. They don't get it. You're sitting in front of the Zoom right now doing this, and then afterward, you're like, I need a break. They go, what the fuck is he breaking about? You just stand there and talk, right? They just think you're talking.
Yep.
That's the thing. They don't understand that speaking requires a lot of energy and tension. You know, you give up a lot live in person. Yes, I put forth to you that Zoom is as hard, if not sometimes harder, because you got to use more energy to get a fucking point across, especially dealing with a big group, because they don't fucking get to see your energy right in front. And you give up a lot of energy, and if you're unable to understand this and then moderate this, because everyone who's a speaker at the start, they never got this fucking lesson on self-care, recharging your energy and energy cycles. They don't, and therefore they get crashes. They fall sick. They have days where nobody understands also. They're like, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you sick? Just we're talk on you, right? And you have unsympathetic partners. Man, you need to leave them or you need to educate them, one or the other. You know, you need to tell them like, this is different. This is not talking. This is, I know I might not be sweating like a soccer player, but this is different, right? And we need to educate them on that. And you have experienced that when you're young, you can get past it. But the older you get, and it's funny, right? Because the older you get, the more famous you get, the more engagements you have. But now you're 45, now you're 40, right? Are you eating right? Are you really treating yourself as a professional, eating right? Because here's the thing: after you give talks, after you give speeches, you want to blow off steam. And how do most speakers blow off steam? They drink and they eat a lot of fucking shit, right? And then it affects the performance the next day. Because when you got fucking all oily Chinese food in your stomach, right? And you drank 3 bottles of beer, that's not good for giving off energy the next day. KarFei knows what I'm talking about. This is real talk. This is real fucking talk right now.
This is my routine when I speak. It's
Yeah.
when I train for long days, long hours, I have to do my fasting. The 2 days before, I have to start already prepping myself
Yes.
with diet, food, water.
Yes.
That kind of gives me the energy.
And then during the thing, there needs to be moments where you unplug. You see, a newbie speaker, and he's going to crash, you're not going to make it right. If he's going full throttle and doesn't take care of himself on breaks, whether it's live in a Zoom room or whether it's with other people, you need to tell people, hey man, you leave me the fuck alone. You don't say leave me the fuck alone, but you need to say 15 minutes, I need time. And you need to go in there, and it's not about what? It's not about checking the fucking phone. It's not about doing all the kind of thing. You could do it if there are specific things up there for music, for breathing, etc. You need to take the time and recharge. Because you're out there giving. If you only give and you don't recharge, take that 15 minutes and say, no questions now. Ask me later. I need the time right now to breathe, to work out, to take care of myself, maybe call my wife, call my kids, right? You're going to be fucking dead. You're not going to last in this industry. You're going to burn the fuck out. I've been there before, right? I've been on those late night flights, right? You know what I'm talking about. You need to drive your late night flights there. You arrive there, you sleep 2 hours. Okay, cool. We get it. But it's not sustainable. You understand? It's not sustainable. You pay a high price. And we're not even talking about the price of relationships back home. Because as a speaker, I can tell you, it's a bitch unless you have a wife that's understanding, or a wife who's a speaker and kind of like gets it, or else they don't understand this life. They don't get it. They don't understand that sometimes you need to be left alone. And it's not because you don't love the other person. It's because you are deep in preparation and you're thinking of all the things. They don't understand that before you go on a Zoom room, it's scary sometimes. I don't give a fuck how many times you've done it. It's scary because it's unpredictable. Someone can stand up, shoot a question, tell you you're a fucking piece of shit, or ask something that'll be problematic, and it's going to take energy, and you need to mentally prime. But they keep talking. You need them to shut the fuck up so that you can focus. Right? You need to go over your slides 100 times also and get prepared and make sure that all the slides are working properly. And then sometimes you're prone to changes also because you took a shower and now you have a bright idea and you're like, I'm gonna change my fucking slides, man. And people are like, what the hell is this fucking guy doing? Why does he keep changing his slides? And you're like, no, I got the idea on how to do that thing proper, but it's not in the plan, and then you need to deal with this kind of thing. And after you give everything you got, right, and you come home, you in a different space, you in a different energy. You might be way too vocal or way too quiet, depending on what kind of person you are. And they are waiting at home for you. And now they want to go out and have a fun day at the beach. And then you're not in the right mood because you're fucking tired. Right? And then you need to calibrate and you need to understand that it is a challenging thing, and people need to understand this is what they're signing up for.
These are things that people don't see, right?
Oh, they don't see it. They don't see it until it takes them by surprise.
Exactly.
How correct was I? Like, I've done this a long time because I've listed everything out. If anyone listening right now, they're like, what are these examples? You just started out. KarFei, how accurate am I on all of these things that I mentioned?
100%. 100%. All of them things that I personally experience, I personally have to go through. Because, honestly, my wife is not into personal development, but she is the kind of person who loves to listen to what I do, my experiences, and she would challenge certain things. And that's why we have really good communication to a certain extent, right? Bouncing ideas and debating about things. And she understands things that I'm going through. But it takes time, right? It takes a bit of time for her to, when you get on stage, it takes a lot of the effort. And thankfully, we live together for a long period of time before we get married. And that helps because she's like, oh, wow, every time he has a talk, he spent time on doing the slides and
after and in the during, it's like you have an hour break, but you can't be texting nonstop because you are like recovering, you're eating, you're thinking about what's gonna happen next. But they say, oh, I don't hear from you the whole day. You're like, no man, I'm not going out with another girl. I'm just tired. I need to prepare.
Exactly.
So you need them to understand these things. And that's one of the things that very few people understand. The psychological, relationship, emotional recharge toll is so understated in this industry. Really. Like when I look at Tony Robbins, there was a movie, right? I'm not your guru.
I'm not your guru.
Yeah, people watch for the fucking inspiration. I didn't. You know what I watched for? I watched for his routine. I watched for what he does backstage. I was like, oh man, that guy is a fucking trampoline. I'm like, I get it. Like, I totally understand why there are times when he leaves, but people watch it, they're like, oh my god, Tony is so inspirational. I don't give a fuck about that. I care about whether he gets his water. I noticed that they shot it backstage in the room where he was all by himself. I'm like, I didn't get one of those rooms, man. So that kind of stuff, those things as a pro, you see, as an amateur, you never know. As a pro, you start to realize, oh my god, it's so critical. If I don't get my rest, I don't get my proper stuff, I don't get in the right physical state. And that's why I thought about self-care. Physical, man. How many speakers we see out here carrying a little bit of too much weight, man? Affects your energy. You can't be eating them fucking 8 donuts before you get up, right? You gotta take care of yourself. And here's the thing, you do a good job, then fucking participants love to bring you out for food. And sometimes you need to understand, oh shit, tomorrow's day 2. I can't be drinking 8 glasses of fucking liquor right now. I mean, I can't be eating this kind of food. There's something you got to say, no, I'm just gonna do this. I'm on a fast right now. I noticed a long time ago, the great speakers do it. Nice. Right? They control their time, they rest, they go back, they spend time making a difference, then they leave. They don't socialize and get too involved there because the participants love you. They're gonna stay to 3 a.m. if you want to, but it will affect your performance the next day. You need to. These things are so professional, high level kind of stuff.
And I want to just highlight this to all listeners. I know some listeners, some of you might be thinking, I'm listening to these podcasts because I want to learn how to speak better and so on. And I think we will talk a little bit about that, but I think me and Mel has been talking a lot about the psychological side of this industry because that is the 80% of success. Success is 80% psychology.
More than that.
Right? Really? Exactly.
Yes.
And we have talked a lot about that. And Melvin, I wanted to highlight a point that you were bringing up just now is that no matter how many, you mentioned this, right? No matter how many times you have delivered that webinar, that presentation, whatever, but every time you have to do it another time, a new time, to a different audience and so on, there's always that moment of nervousness, like, okay, am I going to do this well? How am I going to do it well? This kind of thing still comes into you, even for you. And actually it happens also even for myself. Yeah. Every time before I get on stage, people will be like, oh, KarFei, you'll be able to nail it. You've been speaking so many years, so many times, chill, right? But it's not. And same for me and you. And a lot of people don't think so. A lot of people think that, once if you've done it enough, you will be able to get on stage like just easily. But for you, Mel, what is your way of kind of prepping yourself before you either get on stage or get on a webinar or maybe meeting people one-on-one to kind of close a sale or try to influence?
It goes into 3 parts that I talked about at X Factor. So it's before, during, and after, right? So the moment you finish a presentation, regardless of whether it went good or bad, right? Very critical that you do a little bit of a debrief, right? You debrief and you kind of understand, okay, cool, maybe I did this right, maybe I didn't do this right, man, I want to improve, right? And then before you actually jump on, you got to go and prep and prime yourself, right? Routines critical. You got to get your routines right. The night before, having a simple life. See, I'm a big advocate of having a lot of money and having a simple life. Because why? It's like a computer. If a computer has a lot of RAM, but a lot of apps open, the whole thing slows down. And you can tell me how you're going to separate life and business and relationships. Man, if you have 5 girlfriends, 4 hate your guts, 1 baby here, and then they're texting you nonstop, there is no separation. Lead a simple life, for God's sake. So it is critical. So when you wake up, you're nice, you're clean, you're happy. You go through your routines, you're in the best state, right? And then you actually go through your presentation. What am I going to say, etc. Or this part, then you go through the debrief. The last time round, remember, you look through your presentation. I can tweak this part. I can improve this part. Today's audience is this guy. And you want to do all of these in a relaxed fashion. You never want to rush through the prep. That's the critical part. The purpose of being early is so that you can do things in a relaxed fashion. Okay, so let's say, I give a pitch, right, with my buddy Ken. We do a class where I pitch for things that are $25,000 to $40,000. And so the pitch starts at 4:30. Right? I'm there. I've given that pitch 46 times in a row. 46 times. But I'm there at 3:30. Right? I just took a shower, feel good by myself, right? But I do the morning segment, took a little bit of a nap. I wake up proper, nice and proper, I go through the presentation. I'm pondering, okay, this one, I can work on this part. Okay, I'm going to say, okay, this makes sense to me. I look through my slides, make sure everything's good. Have I opened up all the things? I'm doing all of these at a glacier pace, which means very fucking slow. I'm thinking to myself, okay, I want to say this. No, last time I said it wasn't that good. You see, I do it so slowly, so calmly. I'm sipping a little bit of water. And by the time 4:30 rolls along, I'm just like, I'm done at 4:20. I'm just sitting there And you see, like, it's kind of like, okay, I'm already going around just sitting here waiting for the chance. You see, as opposed to, oh shit, where the fuck is my iPad? Oh shit, man, right? If you're in that state, you're done. You're done. You lost the battle before it started. You see, like, at 4:20, I'm just sitting there, rocking. Okay, it's gonna come at 4:30. So I think it's critical. Like, that's what a professional does. If you desperately training moves backstage before a fight, you are done. You might as well just not go out there. Just say you're sick. Just don't. So was it this way or this way? You're like, nah, it's done. It's done. You're not gonna make it. Okay, this all should have been done like weeks ago. And backstage, you should be just getting warm and stretching and so.
So the before, during, and after of anything that you were trying to do. And I think this is a really important lesson, because even if you think about it, right, people who want to go on stage to speak in corporate, or people who want to go in corporate setting, right, go to their bosses to talk about stuff, or go to stakeholders to convince them on certain things, most of the time they'll be going from back-to-back meetings. They don't have the before time to kind of prep and prime themselves.
Better do that the night before. Better do that the week before. Better look through your schedule. Know what's going to come up next. Right after this, I have another podcast at 4:00. Right? I mean, geez, but I'm aware. I know what is about to happen. I know, right? It influenced even the diet I ate just now before I came up here. I got a lot of energy. I didn't eat fucking 3 packs of chicken rice. If I did that, I'd be real sleepy right now. Right? I know what I ate. I ate so that I can be high energy for this. I do exactly the same for my X Factor class. I have a very unique diet for X Factor class.
Yep.
So you see, KarFei, but all of these things go back to one key word I mentioned: being a professional. You see, we're called a professional speaker. A professional speaker. That's why we make the millions of dollars. We are professionals. Professionals go up there, whether it's day or night, rain or shine, whatever fucking country they are, they do a fantastic job. They go up there and we are professional. Why are we professional? Because fucking people pay us. They pay us. They pay us big money to go up there and make a difference. So it's very simple. You see, all of these things are life-changingly transformational. It's kind of simple as well. They pay your ass, right? You're pro, right? You came here. So then behave like a goddamn pro. Just like you take care of yourself. It's like we would expect the same from an athlete. Why would a speaker be any different? Why would he go out there and practice that? We have to, I fucking hate it when speakers lose their voice. It's like, dude, this is how you make money. I mean, how the hell you lose your voice? Oh, I got heaty. Man, you better fix that shit, man. This is like, they pay you this money, go out there with a sore voice. It's like, come on, man, get your shit together, boy. They pay you $100,000, to go out there, they have a sore throat. No, come on, man. You gotta, oh no, I'm limping, my back hurts. It's like, dude, you better fix that shit. So that they can at least respect you. So I think it's critical we behave like a pro. I think so that we can go out there and make the kind of money we want, as opposed to go out there and wing it. Because that's not sustainable. You say what you want about Tony. Some just say, his events are this and that. Well, the guy is a pro team. He behaves like a pro. He goes up there, he gives his best every single time. Probably why he's one of the highest paid speakers in the world. Gotta be a pro. I've noticed that the richest speakers in the world, very professional, very, very professional. Everything. And it's surprising yet not surprising. It's like, so the reason why Ronaldo is the best.
Yep, 100%, totally a big fan. Well, thanks for all this, right? Like Melvin, you have shared a lot of those kind of insiders of how to become a better speaker, how to better, in a sense, I think it's how to become a best version of yourself, so that you can go out and deliver exactly what you have in your mind, right? Because at the end of the day, we all have a message to share. We have, no matter if you want to be a speaker, a coach, a consultant, or just be a corporate leader, you have experience, you have knowledge. And that's the reason why I started this podcast, is because I got so frustrated going to HR conferences where I usually speak about, HR, learning and development, coaching, leadership, and so on. All these HR professionals with 20, 25 years of experience, they are so smart, they know their shit, but the moment they get on stage, they lose 80% of the crowd. Yeah. Because they just can't communicate and speak well. And I think it's because of the psychology. Right? They don't think that they are a professional speaker, so that, I'm just an HR person talking and all these things.
Yeah, the identity is critical.
Yeah, this psychology things really help. Now, one thing I want to ask you, right, Mel, is that in Life Redesign, so Life Redesign is my coaching and training company where I work with B2C as well as B2B to help them to become better leader, better employees, and so on. One of the things that we talk about in Life Redesign is confidence. Yeah. Now, I'm a big advocate of helping people to kind of remove their beliefs and fear so that they can become confident in everything that they do. Yeah. Now, Melvin, how do you get so confident about yourself? about things that you share and all these things? What's your advice?
Very simple. You see, a long time ago, I was involved in the dating and pickup scene, right? So guys who have exactly the same question. How do you find the confidence to go up and talk to girls? Well, I tell you, the confidence comes from two things. Number one, mistakes. Number two, overcoming mistakes. It's as simple as that.
Wow.
Yeah, it's as simple. It's not hard. People always want some method that involves that. Look, man, David KarFei, if you involve in a street fight, right? The people are charging you. Are you involved in a gunfight? Are you involved in a dangerous situation? How are you going to get confident? Well, we can talk about 300 NLP techniques you can do for yourself, but they all might be built on very shaky ground. But if you have trained for this, done this before, overcome this before, you're just like, hey, come, it's just like usual. Come. Right? I have been here before, and unfortunately, or fortunately, that is usually the answer people least want to hear, because we live in a modern society. People always want to avoid pain and struggle and failure. KarFei, I slept on the damn couch for 7 8 years, making $800 a month. You can't kill me. I ate 1 meal a day all the way till 27. My first date with my wife, I had to borrow money to pay for coffee. And there are 3 ways to go on a date. Number 1, you pay. Number 2, you go Dutch. Number 3 was what I did. I was like, excuse me, could you have 50 cents? Because I didn't bring money. KarFei, I'm going to go all of this shit. I quit school. I don't have a degree. I'm virtually unemployable. I overcame all of these things, all of these things. So, I mean, of course I'm going to have confidence. I'm like, man, I managed to go from that, like $800 all the way to multi-million-dollar company, running it, working with the best people. In my mind, I have overcome so many different things. Then the next thing that comes, okay, it might be challenging. I might suck at it at the start. I go for boxing. I'm not very good. I'm pretty bad, actually. But you know what? In my brain, I go, you have been here before. We have been here before. We always overcome. And
so what you're saying is that no matter what the circumstances are, a good reminder here for all of us is that we have been there.
Yeah, we have
at one point of life.
Remind yourself of all the things you have overcome. No, will that give you instant confidence? Maybe, maybe not. But it will tell you, hey, you know what? I overcame that. I can do this. I did that. I've stacked up so many things in my life that I've overcome. Presentations, pitching, you talk about speaking. I almost got fired from the first kids camp I went to in 2008. They told me I suck. Then I end up running the kids camp as the manager. So going there. So in my mind, I am just bring it on, right? I mean, I will not get it right maybe at the start. Doesn't matter. Over time, I will prevail, without doubt. So that gives people the confidence. Will it instantly give you the confidence? No. But I'm going to reach it. There is a quote in Jonathan Livingston Seagull. Great book. You should check it out. It's like a kid's book. There's a spiritual lesson there. The key to success is to know you have first arrived.
Wow, powerful.
To know you have first arrived. So I already know when I start this, right, I'm going to be damn fucking good at it. I don't give a fuck how long it takes. I don't care. I'm here for the long haul until I reach there. So it takes 5 years, 6 years. I know most will quit. It's fine also. So I know a last man standing sure me. So if it takes 7 years, it will be. It takes 8 years, it will be. I have seen people drop by the wayside. I just know I'm going to reach there. It might take long. It might be hard. I have done this before. Let's fucking do it. So in my mind, I've already won.
Love it. Thank you so much, Melvin. Thank you so much for sharing this. Now, I want to ask you this one fun question before we end. Is that what is the one thing that people do not know about you? If there's one thing that people don't know about you, what would that be?
They have no idea that actually I'm quite a quiet person. I know, right? Even you will be surprised. I'm quite a quiet person. I love my quiet time. I think it's a time to reflect. I think it's time to be by myself. Coaching people and kind of, I don't make it seem like I'm fucking famous or anything, but somewhat being in the limelight means that quiet time is kind of precious and not always easy to come by. I relish it. If I spot a chunk of time by myself, people always say, they need friends. I'm like, actually, I'm quite fine by myself. Thank you. I want to go to a cafe. I want to do a staycation by myself. And nobody bothers me at all for 2 days. That would be fantastic. So that's what I love. I think it's a great time to reflect. Here's the thing, also on Recharge, right, to serve people. I really think that everyone should schedule in a little bit of quiet time. We love our clients, we love our family, we love our wives, love our kids. But man, please schedule a fucking quiet time, man. You want to have that time to sit and just reflect and just think and just be like, all right, cool. What do I want to do? What do I not want to do? That is critical. That is absolutely critical. You don't have to do that at a seminar. Every seminar, good seminar, has that time where they give people time to go and think. Come on, man. You don't have to pay $10,000 to sit quietly by yourself. Fucking find a time. Find 5 hours and just drink tea by yourself and ask yourself, am I living my full potential? Is this what I want to do? Is this right? So I think that's critical.
Love it, love it. Thank you so much, Melvin. So, Melvin, before we end, do you want to share with our listeners today on this podcast, how can they find you? You know, what are the things that you want to share with them before we end?
Sure. I realized one thing also, because I got really passionate to talk about the psychology. Perhaps at any point of time in the future, we can do a podcast on talking about the techniques of speaking, which we covered none of, zero today.
Yep.
But I just thought we want to cover the psychology, because the psychology, I get a sense that this is going out to top entrepreneurs. Okay. So as I tell you a little bit about how you can find me, I want to make a quick link. Probably should have done that somewhere in the middle. So everyone else who's listening, you might not be a speaker. You might be an entrepreneur and be a leader. Guess what? All the methods apply. As a leader, you got to do presentations. Guess what? You're now a professional. As an entrepreneur, guess what? You got to inspire people, presentations, teams, and so you're also a professional. Okay, so everything we cover here, it's not just for speakers and coaches. It's for anyone that's a pro salesperson, a pro leader, a pro entrepreneur. I want you to listen to this, psychological things. When you do these things, you realize your presentations have a bit more zing, have a bit more snap. If you don't, then you realize it falls flat because you are flat. Okay, so very, very crucial. You can find me more at the Instagram at The Great Melvin So. That's my handle. You can just go and type The Great Melvin So. On Facebook, you can just type fb.com/Melvin So online. Just type Melvin So. Just find a guy that looks like me. Just type Melvin So and you find a guy that looks like me. It's pretty easy. Yeah, but I really enjoyed this cafe. I think this information, but I chose to focus on this because I think there's good information out there on speaking.
Yeah,
there's virtually none. There's virtually none on the psychology of it. No, the pros either don't know it or they don't share it. And I thought, you know what? If you're gonna do this, I'm going to give you every single thing that all the seasoned pros know. But maybe don't share it. Maybe they don't think that it's useful, or they don't want to share it, or they don't know it even. And I thought I'd just give it all in 1 hour. Everyone listening to this, re-listen to this, because trust me, KarFei, how much gems of wisdom here? A lot, actually.
A lot.
A lot.
And that's the reason why my podcast is called Life Insider. It's really to get inside and dive deep into the minds of successful people in different genre, in different industry, and different things that they do. And for this series, we're talking about speaking and influence. Yeah. And I think we are kickstarting this podcast with a really, really great start, because you're talking a lot about the psychology.
Oh my God. Insider stuff. Nobody will ever know. Nobody will ever know.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Melvin. So everyone, if you want to check out Melvin, go to his Instagram, The Great Melvin So, and find him on Facebook as well, Melvin So Online. You'll be able to see him. You'll be able to see him sharing some of his ideas on speaking, marketing, scaling businesses, and so on and so forth. And I personally learned from him in his X Factor Masterclass last month to really kind of think of how can I scale my own business as well. So for all of you who are listening, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Podcast with Melvin. If you like, please subscribe, follow, comment down below, and share with us what you like about this episode. Thank you so much, and see you guys next time.
So turn me up real loud. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop.